Good afternoon.
Yes, it is afternoon, isn't it?
Yes.
We're running a couple minutes late today, aren't we?
No.
No?
So our clock
Okay.
says 12. I don't know what's wrong with your computer clock, watcher.
That's true. Okay, good point. So we got some stuff in the news right now. You know, the fiscal, not the fiscal cliff. It's called the debt ceiling, right? We're starting to get some calls from clients about this debt ceiling thing, and not thing. You know, this comes up periodically, but what's happening is the federal government is going to run out of money to borrow. Like they're maxed out their credit cards by June, and it's like 34.1 trillion or 31.4 trillion. Sorry, I'm getting dyslexia. And what at that point they can't borrow anymore. So the press, in their inimitable way, is hyping it up like, oh my gosh, if this happens, we're gonna run out of.
If it's the fiscal cliff, we're not gonna be able to pay Social Security.
Oh,
How are
no
we
Social
gonna pay
Security
any
checks.
benefits?
Mom, and what about grandma and grandpa not without their money? And we can't pay our debt. They're going to default on the debt.
It's the Republicans' fault. It's the Democrats'
Oh,
fault.
it just goes back and forth
Shut
and back
up.
and forth, you know. And yes, and it's just, and it's all. We want you to know it's just a game of chicken that Congress plays. And if you don't like what they're doing there, which you shouldn't, get new elected officials because they are terrible.
It is.
This whole game is so stupid that they play.
I love that it's Groundhog Day today because this feels
True.
like Groundhog Day with the fiscal cliff.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
exactly 10 years ago
That's right.
that everyone is blowing up. We were going to go off the cliff and China's going to take over. Remember?
Oh gosh, you can't go see Mount Rushmore because they closed. They put pylons in front of it so you couldn't pull over and look at it.
Point being, they will vote on the legislation to raise the debt ceiling. All will be well. We do have a debt challenge in this country.
No question.
You know, people forget that we're not a business or a family. Running a zero debt is not the goal for a country.
Right.
However, it's big and people are concerned. And if you are concerned, there is a great bipartisan organization called fixthedebt.org. 2 senators, and I forgot their names, even though we were just talking about them.
Alan Simpson and Senator Bowles. I forget
How
his
is
first
it that
name.
you can remember stuff like this?
But I can't remember what happened yesterday. I don't know.
Anyway, they're great. They've got plans, and you can learn, the real story without like what, Fox is telling you, and then go see how you can help.
Yeah, for sure. But point is, don't fall for the hype that is going on. It's going to be hyped up more and more in the next few months around this debt ceiling because it's going to be resolved. It may be resolved at 11:59 p.m. the last night, and the markets may, have hiccups. I'm not saying that they won't, because if it gets real scary, people will sell. People that are unsophisticated will sell and, get out of the market. But it's going to pass. And if you take an action on that, you will regret it because it's not going to be permanent. It's going to be transitory. And a year from now, we won't even, what are we talking about? No one will remember.
That's right. We couldn't remember what year the fiscal cliff was.
We had to go look it up to see what year it was. And it was a horrible thing at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Not for us, but for, in the media. Okay. All right. So welcome to A Place of Possibility. I am Richard Del Monte.
And I'm Angela Wright.
And we are happy to have you here today with us. And so what are we talking about today?
So exciting.
Oh, yeah.
We are talking about the Secure 2.0 Act, or Secure Act 2.0. I think it's called. It was enacted at the very last minute of 2022. There are a ton of provisions in here regarding retirement accounts, and they impact your regular Joe. Everyone who's listening today is probably impacted by this.
Right.
So we're gonna give you the highlights, the things that we think that you need to know about. This act is huge. There is so much that we're not going to discuss because it would be a 5-hour episode and you never tune in again.
Right. You'd be bored to tears. Right.
We are going to list them off for you though. So Rich, why don't you start with the first provision?
Okay. And forgive us if you're watching the video, we have to look down because you won't believe the arcane stuff in this law. We're going to give you some of it. You're going to be like, what were they thinking?
Yeah.
So, okay. So we're going to start the kickoff. We're going to kick this off with changes that affect required minimum distributions in retirement accounts. These are also known as RMDs. And for decades, you probably know that you had to, when you turned 70 and a half years old, you had to start taking money out of your retirement account, right? And so that in the Secure Act 1.0, which we didn't know it was 1.0 at the time, and the original Secure Act, they moved it to 72, which we thought, yeah, that's great, a year and a half more. But that quickly was replaced with Secure Act 2.0, which now makes it the minimum age you have to take retirement distributions as age 73. for people that are turning 73 this year. And if you go in 10 years from now, in 2033, it will go all the way up to 75.
Woohoo!
So I'll be 73. She'll be 75. That's the way.
I'm
that's
gonna make it to 75. I don't know.
Oh yeah, you'll make it. Yeah, you're feisty enough. You'll make it. So that's a really good thing. And the reason they did this is because it reflects longer life expectancies that we have, right? In general.
Yes.
I mean, I always laugh at any of you been around for a long time. You watch Andy Griffith. Aunt B in that show, old with Opie and all that stuff. Aunt B was 55 years old. She had gray hair, Nana shoes and everything, and she's like, a 55-year-old now. I mean, you're almost that old, aren't you?
Excuse you. I was just going to say, I think the youngest Golden Girl was the age that I am now, which is like,
really?
And honestly,
I didn't know that.
The Golden Girls sounds pretty good to me. I'll take my 3 best friends and we'll live together and it will be fantastic.
A lot less hassle, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
okay, what were we talking about? RMDs?
RMDs, yeah.
Back to the point.
Back to you.
So, okay, additionally with RMDs, they are eliminating the requirement to take an RMD from a Roth 401k account. Right. So previously, no regular Roth IRAs had RMDs. That's already normal. But if you had a Roth portion of your 401k or any company sponsored retirement plan, and it was still there, you had to take RMDs on that sucker. Now, the workaround is just roll it out into a Roth IRA and not worry about it anymore.
Right.
But this eliminates any of that hassle. So now the only time you would have to take an RMD on a Roth IRA is if you inherited it.
Right. Right. And if you're in a 401k, you only have to take RMDs on your pre-tax money.
Yes.
But if you still work there, you don't have to, unless you're a highly compensated person.
Yeah. Asterisks.
Yeah.
Abound.
This podcast is going to be full of asterisks. I can just tell you right now.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So the next one is the Secure Act authorized Roth contributions inside of, which means, you pay tax on them right now and you get tax-free income later on simple IRAs and simplified employee pension IRAs, which are called SEPs. So simples and SEPs now can have Roth contributions in them, which is the first time ever they weren't allowed before. Now, if you have a simple or a SEP in your company plan, it's probably because your CPA or your accountant told you to do it. We want you to look into, especially if you're a small business like sole proprietor, you and your wife or you and your husband own the business. It's you ought to really think about converting that into a 401k because you can put a lot more money in. Solo 401ks are very inexpensive to run. They're free basically, unless you get a big balance.
Yeah.
Were you sending me a note?
No.
Okay.
This one is interesting to me though, because most people go for the SEP or the simple because they need the tax deduction. They want to get rid of the income.
Right.
But I suppose it's cool for like a younger person who's running a small business who otherwise maybe couldn't go into a Roth IRA.
Yeah.
That's helpful. So, okay.
Okay.
Next
all right.
thing.
So let's see.
We're going to keep going with Rothification, which I don't know if that's a word, but we're going to make it a word today.
Yeah.
And so new law that allows employers to deposit matching contributions or profit sharing, non-elective employee contributions going in. They are now allowed to do these Roth style. Previously, it was always pre-tax. But of course, this comes with some asterisks because if you do this, that income or the amount that your employer puts in as Roth is income to you, which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
You get no taxes ever again on that money. That's fantastic, but you have to pay the tax today. This is worked into the law, but a lot of employers probably will not build this into their plan. So you need to check with your employer's plan to see if you can do this. One of the things is that one of the reasons I think employers won't do this is that it's non-forfeitable, which means they can't attach a vesting schedule to it.
Yeah.
Also makes sense because you've paid taxes on that money. You've received it as income. Your employer can't go take it away from you. So from the employer's standpoint, it's like, do I really want to give these people this money? What if they
leave? What if they
leave
quit?
after a year? Yeah. I mean, it's just not subject to the vesting schedule. So I don't think we'll see a lot of that, but it's possible.
Yeah, for sure. Or for maybe they just allow it for people that are vested.
You can maybe discriminate.
I think you can. Yeah, I think you can.
Maybe.
Yeah, if you're vested, because otherwise the risk is too crazy. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Okay. Now it's going to get real convoluted, right?
This is ridiculous.
This is a ridiculous law. Okay. I'm just going to tell you, this is so ridiculous. I have to look at my notes because it's so ridiculous.
Congress, what are you thinking?
I don't know. Yeah. They're just like, whose back are they scratching with this one? All right. So
I'll tell you.
if you're an employee who made $145,000 or more last year in your same company that you work for as you work for now, and you're over 50 years old, you get what's called a catch-up contribution. Well, everybody gets catch-up contributions to start with, right? If you're over 50, you can put in an extra $7,500. So you could put in, because you're so young and vital, you could put in $22,500. Me, because I'm decrepit, I can put in $30,000. So, but if you're over 50 and you made more than $145,000 last year at the same employer, you can put in your contribution, this extra $7,500 that you put in as a catch-up contribution, has to be Roth. You can't put in a tax-deductible extra $7,500. Right. And that's because you're a bad person and we don't want to incentivize you to save tax. But, Congress wants more tax dollars. They don't want to be giving away more goodies to people that don't, according to them, don't need it.
Right.
But, you had a good point. I mean, most people, they're still going to do it, right?
Well, yeah, because think about it. We're talking about a couple $100 in tax savings here, right? So it's not like you're going to say, "Oh, to heck with it. I'm not going to put that $7,500 extra in there because I'm going to pay taxes on it." If you don't put it in there, you're going to pay taxes on it anyway.
Right.
And it becomes Roth. So it never gets taxed again.
Right.
You probably will end up better off.
It's still a good deal.
It depends.
Yeah. Still a good deal.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and you're giving yourself tax diversification in retirement also. You still get to do the whole 22.5 tax deductible. It's just the extra 7,500 has to go to Roth. And this is only for people who make more than 145,000 and stayed with the same employer.
Right.
You move employers, I guess. Why?
Yeah. I mean, if you really hate this law, you can quit your job, go to another job, then you'll be exempt for a year.
Yeah. All to save a couple $100 in tax.
Yeah. Why that? I mean,
honestly, if that's your hiccup with this, I recommend you see a therapist. I'm not being cheeky here. It's like, if you're that obsessed over a couple $100 of tax money that you wouldn't do this, it's like, we had people kind of screaming about it. Why do they do this to us? It's like, there are bigger fish to fry, frankly. You
just heard that. Angela advised you to see a therapist. Okay. All right.
I have a few recommendations if you need one.
Some.
God. All right.
Speaking
Speaking of catch-up contributions.
Ketchup. Not to be confused with mustard and ketchup.
Not your mustard contributions.
Okay, right. I like mayo myself.
Okay, this one I actually do. I have to read because again, what the starting in 2025. So you can just forget about this for the next 2 years, I guess. 401k, 403, 457. Basically, if it's a company sponsored retirement plan and you are between the ages of 60 and 63 starting in 2025, you can do more catch up.
Can I do more mustard?
No mustard for you. Those, so their maximum catch up contribution increases to the greater of $10,000 or 150% of their regular catch-up contribution, which could be $11,250.
Oh, come on now.
I dare the IRS to track this.
I dare accountants to even track it. I mean,
this is ridiculous.
We do payroll. How are we supposed? I mean, it's really complicated.
It's super
to track that inside of our QuickBooks or whatever we use.
Yeah, and then I think you're coming to the end of the year to determine these amounts. Because a lot of this is based on your income, and we threw in the plan throughout the course of the year. And this one is especially in 2 years, these people who are within this 3-year time frame can put in an extra 2,500 maybe.
Right. And don't forget, if you made more than 145,000 last year, that extra money you put in is only going to be Roth. You can't deduct it. I mean,
right.
Where is the sensibility?
What did you say they should have called this act?
Oh, the CPA's Full Employment Act, because they always talk about tax simplification, and it's always tax, Complication.
Yes.
Way more complicated. Yeah.
This is like the CPA lobby just went to Congress and said, make it as hard as possible.
Let's create the craziest
Meanwhile, there are no
you could ever imagine. So nobody. Now, this is a good. I'm telling you right now. If you do your taxes on TurboTax, stuff like that, these are the rules that you're not going to be able to figure out.
Right.
You're going to have a real problem.
Yep.
And some of the other ones too. We're going to talk about.
Yeah. Let's keep going down the list because now we're having a vent session.
All right. Now it's going to get really. You're not going to believe these. Okay. And these are in the act. You can look it up. So there are some interesting new rules regarding penalty-free pre-age 59 and a half retirement account withdrawals. Now, you probably know that in general, you can't get money out of your retirement account, either 401k, whatever, IRA, until you are 59 and a half or older. They want to make sure you're close to retirement age.
You can do it, but you pay a penalty.
You pay a penalty, and the federal penalty is 10%, and the state, if you're in California, is 2.5%. So it's you're already paying maybe 35%, so now you're paying 47%. Yeah. If you need money that bad, go to the mafia and get it because it's going to be cheaper. Okay.
He's got connections.
I love it. Yeah, right. I'm Italian, right? Don't we all? Don't you? You probably know people. She knows a guy. I bet she knows a guy. All right. So the first one is, basically you're gonna decide like we do when we tell you these. Basically, if you have a hangnail, you're going to be able to get money out of your retirement account without a penalty, right? I mean, these are crazy.
Yes, it's really, really loosening the ability to pull money out of your retirement accounts. And I got to say, I spent too much time hanging out with conspiracy theorists because one of the thoughts I had was, are they trying to allow people to just drain their retirement accounts so we have to work
so they
forever?
Never can retire? Yeah.
I mean, we do not do this, please.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're, already retired or in a real pickle, just ignore everything we're about to say and don't pull money out of your 401k.
We both know people that go in and just drain their retirement accounts regularly.
I do. I mean, I won't name names, but I could count some people who are going to go attack their 401k plan right now with no other plan of action of how they're going to back fund their retirement.
Yeah, right. Well, that's down the road.
Tell them who can get their money.
All right,
what qualifies as a hangnail?
If you're in these groups, you're going to get free money without any penalty. Okay. So private sector firefighters. Who are these people, first of all? Who is a private sector firefighter?
Can you drop a comment if you're a private sector firefighter? Like, who are you and what do you do?
Who are you? You don't work for the government.
We know.
We do know, yeah. So basically, you remember when Montecito had their fires, and when these really rich, affluent enclaves have fires, the wildfires and stuff, they can afford to bring in private companies who will fight the fires for them because the real fire departments are too busy fighting the general fire. Yeah. So they come in and take care of their house. So if you happen to work for a private sector firefighting company, you can access your retirement account if you separate from service in the year you turn age 50 or later. Yeah. So that gets you 9.5 more years of early withdrawals that you can take, which is huge.
Yeah. And we're laughing about this, but this makes sense to me because public sector firefighters often are retiring at 50 with a full pension.
Right.
Why not equalize?
Stuff,
why not equalize that for private sector?
I guess,
firefighters.
Right. But how big is that sector?
I
guess in California, they could be the majority of the workers for all I know, because, there's fires everywhere, right?
It could be.
Yeah. All right. And the same for state and local corrections officers. If you're 50 or older, you can retire and take money out of your IRA. Actually, you don't even have to retire. You can just be 50 or older, still working in the prison, and you come home and you need some money to go gamble. You can take it out of your retirement account at 50. No problem. Okay. All right.
So more loose.
Back to you, Dave.
More loosening for people who are in the private sector here. So anyone who is under age 50, who's worked for the same employer for 25 years or more, can retire and take penalty-free withdrawals. So potentially someone age 43 or older could qualify for this if they started working when they were 18. So
now we went from 59.5 to 43.
Yes. If you meet those provisions, you're separated from service and you've been there with the same employer for 25 years, you could retire and take the money out. Good luck with your health insurance payments. I don't really know what you're going to do, but hopefully you followed the fire movement or something and saved properly to be able to do
You'll be somebody that benefits from that. That'll get you. You've been here 15
but I
years.
will have children in college when I'm 65.
I know,
so
but in
no,
10 more
I
years,
will.
you'll be really young and you'll still be able to pull your money out for free.
But I won't because I want to live
you're
on
smart.
it someday.
Right. You have a brain. Okay. All right. All right. The next one is anybody who lives in a federal disaster zone, which you want to think basically all of California, almost every county in California this year after the floods we've had last month, can get $22,000 from a retirement account. So your IRA, 401k, whatever, penalty free. You can take it out and you have 3 years to pay it back. So you can either put a little bit in every year or, no, I'm sorry, I take it back. You have 3 years to pay it back, but the tax on it can be spread out over the next 3 years. So if you take out 22,000, you're only going to pay tax on 7,500 basically this year, 7,500 next year, and 7,500 the year after that. So you can spread it out.
It's pretty great.
I mean, it's really good for that reason. And you have 3 years to pay it back. And you don't have to pay it back if you don't want to. You can also get a loan. This is where it gets really dicey now. You can get a loan of your retirement account. This is not your IRA, but it's a retirement account at work of up to 100% of your balance, or $100,000 maximum.
This is where the conspiracy
This is
theory
where
fires off for me.
people, if you could, I mean, I got a problem this year. I want to buy a car. I'm going to borrow the money out, and I can get $100,000 out, pay cash for the car, and you have a year to start paying the payments. So you can defer payments for a year. Normally you have to start right away. Yeah. So it is a way to access $100,000 is a lot of money for most people in a retirement account, right? Yeah. But again, these are for loans, not withdrawals. You can withdraw 22,000, but the loans are 100.
It's really meant to help people. If your house flooded and you need an influx of cash, you can take it from your retirement account without a penalty. Right. It's not a piggy bank for all of California.
But it's not required. I mean, you could use it for other purposes.
Sure.
They're not tying it to that.
Do your hair with it if you want to.
I mean, we had rains last month, and all of a sudden you can get $100,000 out of your retirement account. Wait, I got a hangnail. Let me see. I mean, it's getting crazy.
I have a friend that lives in Boston, and I told her it was 36 degrees when I got in my car this morning, and she said, I didn't even know it got that cold in California.
Yeah. It's been really windy and cold here. I don't know. It's been unseasonable.
Help us. We're having a disaster. I mean, we shouldn't laugh because parts of California are very flooded.
I know. It's true.
Okay.
But if you can't laugh at your life, what can you laugh at, right?
It's true. Okay. So, well, speaking of laughing at life, we're going to talk about terminal illness now. Great transition there. So
sorry, that was not in good taste.
There is a new exception for folks with a terminal illness. It's been expanded to if you have 7 years to live. So they've expanded the definition of a terminal illness to 7 years.
If that's the test, I'm terminal.
You better
Just kidding. Okay.
That's so funny. Interestingly, though, if you don't die, you can pay all the money back into your 401k.
Why would I want to do
within
that?
3 years?
I got 3 years.
Well, you didn't die. So now you got to go and save the money for retirement.
Oh, it was a mistake?
It's an interesting provision.
Yeah.
And this is the one scenario in which I say, heck yes, cash out your 401k and go live what's left of your life.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's, it's there for the right situation. It's really, I'm sure it'll be a blessing for people in the right situation. We shouldn't make light of it for sure. Okay. Also, victims of domestic abuse can also now, they have their own exception this year, starting next year. You can get up to $10,000 out of your retirement account. And you have up to a year after the episode of abuse happened to get the money out. And it's, I guess it's a place for people to move away, right? Or get their life going.
I think the way that this would get used is that a victim of domestic violence suddenly needs an influx of cash, doesn't want to pay a penalty, obviously. But you need money to get away from an abuser.
Right.
And if you find yourself in this situation, there are so many resources here in the Bay Area. Stand in Concord is a wonderful resource if you're experiencing abuse.
And now you can get some cash without a penalty. Still be taxable, but no penalty.
Yeah. Changing gears a bit here. Did I interrupt you?
No.
Sorry. You can take out penalty-free from a retirement account up to $2,500 per year to pay for the premiums for your long-term care insurance policies.
What about my homeowner's insurance? Can I do it that?
No,
not
forget
yet.
that.
Wait, next Secure 3.0, it'll be there. Yeah.
This one is we included this because we do have people who have long-term care policies, and you can pull from the 401k early to make the premium payments. Honestly, if you don't have one, don't bother even thinking about this. They're horrible policies. The ones that are issued today are horrible. So it's probably not going to come up, but it's there if you're paying this and for some reason you don't have the budget and your cash flow to pay it and you're under 59 and a half and you need to pull it from your retirement. You don't get penalized.
You should not be doing that. That's not a good reason.
Well, because if we step back from the whole cash flow perspective, if you are having to draw down your retirement and it's not by some fixed intention, you don't have the budget for that insurance policy. You need to get rid of it and rely on Medicare.
Right. Medicaid. Yeah.
Thank you.
Medicaid. Yeah. Okay. So if you don't qualify for any of that litany of excuses, which who wouldn't, especially if you're in California, I already know I'm going to go get $100,000 out of my account.
You better not.
No, I won't. No.
Fire you.
There's a new one that you're certainly going to qualify for. The act authorizes emergency withdrawals from retirement accounts starting next year. And the reason can be, I'm going to read this. This is the language for you. Unforeseeable or immediate financial need relating to the necessary personal or family emergency expenses.
I got a hangnail.
I mean, that's the hangnail exclusion.
Can't go to work today.
I got a hangnail and I need some nail clippers. So I'm going to go down and get the money out. Now it's capped. It's only $1,000 that you can get. But it's basically $1,000 for any reason. They're not even going to ask for proof. It's just like, I claim it. Who's going to follow up? And so you have 3 years to pay it back if you want, and you can only do it. You can't take another $1,000 out until you pay the $1,000 back. And if you don't pay it back ever, then you have to wait 3 years before you can start and take the next $1,000. Yeah. So, I mean, it's money.
Yeah.
It's there. I guess it's good.
Well, I'd rather you do this next provision if you're going to do anything. The next provision in the act authorizes employers to use payroll deductions to fund emergency savings accounts for employees that are linked, to the retirement account.
Yeah, right.
This has always been a thing. You could always tell your employer, send some money to my savings and some money to my checking. Heck, we've been doing that forever.
Right.
But this establishes, the law. They can put up to $2,500 into this emergency savings account total, not per year.
Yep.
And you cannot be a highly compensated employee to take advantage of this, right? Which kind of makes sense,
Yeah.
This is really to encourage lower paid employees to get some kind of an emergency savings so that they don't have to go pull from their 401k. So it's like a little help with some forced payroll deductions. You just tell your employer, hey, I want to use this provision, throw it into the emergency savings account that's linked.
Yeah. It's going to be curious. I don't know if they're requiring him to do it or allowing it. That's a difference, right?
Yes.
If the guy at the gas station, that the convenience mart, if he has to have that for his employees, if he's required to do it, that could be something for people like you. You're doing it for your employees, but you're doing it out of the goodness of your heart. You don't have to.
Yeah. Well, it costs me nothing. I don't care. I don't have to do anything. Right. They go into the payroll system and they say, please send $100 a month to my savings account and the rest to my checking.
We don't care.
We'll do care.
Yeah. Right.
So, but we're not, it's to an outside savings account. We're not on the hook for that. There's no ERISA responsibility. There could be other things that come up around that.
Right. Okay. So if you have been following Secure 2.0 at all in the press, the one thing that you have probably heard of most likely to have heard about is this provision where you can now roll over your 529 college savings plan account into a Roth IRA. And so that gets a lot of press. Well, there's a lot of asterisks in here. We want to make sure you understand. It can be something that could be really valuable, but as Angela will show you, there's other ways to handle that excess money. So what happens here is people have saved money for their kids for college. The kids went to college and they still have money left over that they don't know what to do with, right? Yeah. And so this is the way to get it out of there in a way that's tax-free. Because otherwise, if you take the money out and spend it not for college, you have to pay tax on the withdrawals plus 12.5% penalty. But if you spend it on college, there's no tax and no penalty. So that's the downside.
Yeah.
This money sitting there, it's kind of like captured in a place that they can't use. So the law now, Secure 2.0, allows you to roll over up to the maximum IRA annual contribution amount from your 529 into a Roth. So if you're under 50, it's $6,500. If you're over 50, it's $7,500 per year. Now that has to be combined with any direct contributions you make to your Roth. So if you're putting in $3,000, that means that you could put in $3,500 into as a rollover. Or if you're putting in zero in your Roth, you could do the whole $6,500 or $7,500. That's the cap per year, and the lifetime cap is $35,000. That's how much you can put in a maximum. So it wouldn't eliminate the whole account, probably, unless it's, we have some people that have accounts with $100,000 in them, right? And
yeah. Well, okay. So here's the deal. This is probably the thing that most parents fear when their kids are young and they're starting to set up savings is like, well, what if they don't use it?
Yeah.
So, if you have 10 grand left, or let's make it easier, 5 grand left in your account, roll it out to a Roth and call it a day.
No big deal, right?
But we recently were talking to a client who's 35, just got married and wants to have children. They had 50,000 left in their 529. So even with this rule, they still could not get all of that money out without a penalty. But they said, we want to have kids, and their income is very limited right now, which limits the amount that they can save for their future children. And so we thought, okay, what if we put this 50,000 in an aggressive growth fund today? How much money would you have when your kids turn 18? She could send the kid to Stanford with no out of pocket.
Right.
And so, in that situation, part of their overall life financial plan includes kind of creating like a legacy 529 account for future generations to use.
Right. And some people don't know that you can change the beneficiaries on the account. So you can transfer between generations up and down and sideways. So it can go to cousins, brothers and sisters, aunts, uncles, parents, grandparents.
So the wheels start turning. And what was your idea? Tell them.
Well, the one, this is for, because the limit is 35,000, right, per lifetime that you can roll over to a Roth. What if you change the beneficiary from one person after 5 years to another one? Could you give them 35,000?
Yeah.
Well, the caveat, which I didn't tell you about this rollover, is you cannot do any kind of rollover to a Roth unless the money's been there in the 529 for 15 years. So, but it's not clear yet whether it has to be in 15 years in that beneficiary's name or just 15 years in the 529.
Yeah.
So that's going to have to be, worked out with the Treasury Department. And so if it's just 15 years in the account and you could just keep changing beneficiaries, you could spray that money to all kinds of people.
Oh yeah.
Here's your Christmas present. Boom.
Yep.
We'll give you that rollover. So, it could be, it's a solution to, this problem, but it's not, probably not a complete solution.
They never are.
Nothing is, right. Yeah.
All right. So we can all agree that tax laws are complicated and
No, why would you say that? It's tax simplification.
Don't worry. Congress has your back. Yeah, they love you.
Of course.
So there's some new rules around retirement account mistakes. If you forget to take an RMD, for example, the previous penalty was 50% of the amount you were supposed to take each year in penalty. So your account gets drained real fast if that happens. So they have now reduced that penalty down to just 10%, so long as you correct it during the correction window.
Oh, I got to hear what's the correction window?
Well,
Angela?
I have to read it to you because I'm not even sure that I am clear on what the correction window is.
I looked at it and I don't know either.
Basically, the correction window ends when a notice of deficiency is mailed to you by the IRS, or when the tax is assessed by them, or the last day of the second tax year after the tax is imposed. Godspeed to you.
Okay, we'll see you next time.
Point being, you might have options if you forget to take an RMD. You might not get hit with that 50% penalty, and absolutely you need a qualified CPA to help you unravel this and work it out. And I would say if you're trying to do any of these things, please discuss with your CPA or tax preparer before you do anything.
Right. Don't try this at home by yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And the best part is about the
So the statute of limitations on RMD is also been reduced to just 3 years. So if you forgot one 4 years ago, you're good to go.
Yeah, you're off the hook. Yeah. So that's good. That is good.
mean, I'm going to be honest. I don't encourage anybody to take advantage of this, but I dare the IRS to track this. This is so hard to track, right? Because the IRS doesn't know that you have this IRA over there with money in it if you didn't take anything out, because no 1099 got sent to the IRS. So until you start taking money out of IRAs, they don't even know they exist. Like there's not a list of every IRA out there that the IRS has.
Except that's what the 90,000 new IRS agents are going to do. Probably.
They're going to try to find you. Good luck.
They're going to be circling your house and driving around.
I didn't say that though.
You know,
Do we have any questions come through?
No questions
today.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone's like, shut up. We don't want to hear any more about
Tell us something
taxes.
interesting. Yeah. No, but it is a good primer. I mean, you know, hopefully you got something valuable out of it. You know, it does impact pretty much everybody, but there's a lot of misinformation and things that you don't know about. Hopefully you're more educated now.
There's a lot more in the act. There's especially some new provisions around annuities. If you've been struggling there, go read that or ask us about it and we'll interpret it.
We'll help
for
you with it. Yeah. We'll tell you what it says. Yeah.
All right. Well, so if you have any questions or topic ideas, suggestions, please feel free to send them to us at info@aplaceofpossibility.com. If you'd like to book a consultation to talk about your own finances with us, you can do that using our calendar links posted in the show notes.
And on our website.
Everywhere. You can find us. We're easy to find. We're offering a copy of the Investment Answer book to you if you'd like one, a free copy. It's a super easy read about science-based investing, and it's how we do it. And if you want to learn more about how that sausage is made, it's super easy, super easy read.
Really good. Really
good. Please like and subscribe if you're enjoying the show. If you're not, click away and don't come back.
See ya. Hit the road.
You don't have to say anything if you don't like us. Take us home, Rich.
All right. Well, thank you very much for watching and listening today. We appreciate your readership, listenership. And remember, until next time, you're invested and so are we. Take care. Have a great week.